You will spend 90,000 hours of your life working, and nobody will ever teach you what to actually do with the money you earn. Think about that. 90,000 hours. That's your entire career. And in all those years of school, math, history, literature, science, not one class told you how compound interest works in your favor. Not one teacher explained what an index fund is. Nobody sat you down and said, "Here's how wealthy people actually think about money." You just figured it out on your own. Or you didn't, and most people don't. I grew up in a household where money was always tight. Not desperate, but tight. My parents worked hard, they paid their bills, and at the end of the month there was just nothing left. No investments, no savings to speak of. When I got my first real job at 23, I did exactly what I watched them do. I spent what I earned. I thought a savings account was investing. I had no idea what a Roth IRA was. A Roth IRA, by the way, is a retirement account where your money grows completely tax-free. I didn't learn that until I was 27. 4 years of compound growth, gone. The thing that changed everything for me was a simple conversation with someone who'd built real wealth. Not inherited it, built it. And he said something I'll never forget. He said, "The rules of money are not complicated. They're just not taught to people who need them most." So I went deep on this. And what I found completely changed how I think about earning, saving, and building wealth. Here are the 6 money rules the wealthy follow that school never taught you. Rule number 1. Pay yourself first. Before bills, before fun, before anything. This sounds simple. It's not how most people actually live. Most people follow this order. Earn money, pay bills, spend on life, save whatever's left. The problem is whatever's left is usually nothing. Life expands to fill your income. It always does. Wealthy people flip this completely. The moment money hits their account, a portion goes directly into savings or investments, automatically, before they even see it. It's not a choice they make every month. It's a system. And systems beat willpower every single time. Here's a real example. 2 people earn the same salary, $4,000 a month. Person A pays all their bills and expenses first, then tries to save what's left. Most months they save $200, some months nothing. Person B automatically transfers $400, 10%, into an investment account the day they get paid. They adjust their lifestyle to the $3,600 remaining. After 20 years, assuming 7% annual returns, Person B has over $260,000. Person A has sporadic savings and no real wealth. Same income, completely different outcomes. The only difference is the order of operations. Practical tip you can do today. Set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to a savings or investment account for the day after your paycheck arrives, even if it's just $50 to start. The amount matters less than the habit. Once it's automatic, you won't miss it, and it will grow. Now here's where it gets interesting, because Rule 2 is the one that makes Rule 1 actually work. Rule number 2, make your money work harder than you do. Saving money is not enough. A savings account at most banks pays you 0.5% interest per year. Inflation, meaning the rate at which prices rise, runs at roughly 3% per year historically. That means if your money is just sitting in a regular savings account, you're actually losing purchasing power every single year. Your $10,000 in savings buys less in 5 years than it does today. The wealthy understand that money is a tool, and a tool sitting in a drawer is useless. They put their money to work through investments that compound over time. Compounding means you earn returns not just on your original money, but on all the returns you've already earned. It's growth on top of growth. Einstein reportedly called it the 8th wonder of the world. Whether he actually said that doesn't matter. The math is undeniable. Here's what that looks like concretely. $10,000 invested at 7% annual return, which is roughly the long-term average return of the U.S. stock market, becomes $76,000 in 30 years. You put in $10,000. You end up with $76,000. You didn't work for that extra $66,000. Your money did. The three most accessible ways regular people put money to work. Index funds, which are baskets of stocks that track the overall market, so you own a tiny piece of hundreds of companies at once. Dividend stocks, which pay you cash regularly just for owning them. And real estate if you have the capital and appetite for it. Practical tip: open a brokerage account. Fidelity, Schwab, or Vanguard are all reputable options, and invest in a simple broad market index fund like VTI or VOO. You don't need to pick individual stocks, you just need to start. Compound interest graph, investment app on phone, stock market visuals. Okay, so that covers building wealth. But here's what most people never hear about, and this next part is the reason the wealthy stay wealthy while others don't. Rule number 3, protect your income like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. Your ability to earn money is worth more than anything you currently own. If you make $60,000 a year and you work for 30 more years, that's $1.8 million in future earnings, and that's without any raises. Losing your income, even temporarily, can devastate everything you've built. The wealthy insure their income. They build emergency funds, cash reserves covering 3 to 6 months of living expenses, sitting in a high-yield savings account, so that a job loss or medical event doesn't force them to sell investments at the worst possible time. They carry disability insurance. They diversify their income so no single source is everything. Most people have zero buffer. One unexpected expense, a car repair, a medical bill, a layoff, and they're in debt or liquidating investments at a loss. I know someone who had built up a solid $30,000 investment portfolio over 4 years. Lost his job unexpectedly, had no emergency fund. Within 8 months, he'd sold almost everything to cover living expenses, right before the market recovered. 4 years of discipline, gone in under a year. Practical tip: before you optimize your investments, build a cash emergency fund. 3 months minimum. Keep it somewhere accessible but separate from your regular checking account, so you're not tempted to spend it. Emergency fund savings jar, job loss news, high-yield savings account screenshot. Most people stop here, but this next part is the one that separates people who do okay from people who build serious wealth. Rule number 4, buy assets, not liabilities, and know the difference. Robert Kiyosaki made this concept famous in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But let me break it down simply. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket over time. Investments, rental properties, a business, even certain skills. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. A car loan, consumer debt, things that depreciate in value. Most people, when their income rises, upgrade their lifestyle. Bigger car, nicer apartment, more subscriptions, more stuff. Economists call this lifestyle inflation, the tendency to spend more as you earn more. The wealthy resist this. When their income goes up, they first buy more assets. Then, and only then, they upgrade their lifestyle. The difference is staggering. Person A gets a raise of $500 a month and upgrades their car payment and streaming subscriptions. Person B gets the same raise and puts $400 into investments and allows themselves $100 more spending. In 10 years, Person B has an extra $80,000 in invested assets. Person A has nicer stuff and the same net worth. Practical tip: every time you're about to make a significant purchase, ask yourself one question. Is this an asset or a liability? You don't have to avoid all liabilities. You just need to be honest about what you're buying. Awareness alone will change your behavior. Quickly now, here's where it gets really important, and almost nobody talks about this one. Rule number 5. Learn to use debt strategically, not emotionally. There are 2 completely different kinds of debt. Bad debt is money you borrow to buy things that lose value. Consumer credit cards, car loans for depreciating vehicles, buy now, pay later purchases. Bad debt costs you money and buys you things that are worth less every year. Good debt is money you borrow to acquire things that generate returns greater than the cost of borrowing. A mortgage on a rental property that earns rental income. A business loan to expand operations that are already profitable. Even a student loan for a degree that demonstrably increases your earning potential, though that one requires very careful analysis. The wealthy are not afraid of debt. They use it as a lever to amplify returns. But they only use it for assets, never for lifestyle. Here's a simple illustration. If you borrow $100,000 at 5% interest to invest in something returning 10% annually, you're making 5% on money that isn't yours. That's leverage. If you borrow $100,000 at 20% credit card interest to pay for vacations and electronics, you're paying 20% on money you've already spent. That's a trap. Practical tip. List every debt you currently carry. Next to each one, write the interest rate and what you bought with it. Anything above 8% interest that isn't generating a return for you, attack that debt aggressively before you invest heavily. Before I get to Rule 6, one thing I didn't plan to include, but I have to mention. There's an invisible tax that the wealthy understand and the middle class doesn't, and it's called opportunity cost. Opportunity cost means that every dollar you spend is not just that dollar gone, it's every future dollar that dollar could have become. $100 spent on something unnecessary today is not just $100 lost. It's $760 lost, if that money could have compounded at 7% for 30 years. The wealthy think about money in terms of future value, not just present cost. That doesn't mean you never spend on things you enjoy. Life is meant to be lived. But it does mean you become very intentional about what's worth spending on and what isn't. Start thinking of every purchase in future value terms. It rewires how you evaluate money. Okay, Rule 6. And I saved this one for last because it's the one that makes everything else sustainable. Rule number 6. Invest in your earning potential more aggressively than anything else. The greatest asset you will ever own is your ability to earn. And unlike a stock portfolio, your earning potential can grow dramatically in a short period of time, if you deliberately invest in it. The wealthy spend money on books, courses, mentors, experiences, and skills that directly increase what they can earn or build. They treat self-education as the highest return investment available, because it is. The return on learning a high-value skill can be 10 times, 100 times, even 1,000 times the investment. Think about it this way. If you spend $500 on a course that teaches you a skill that earns you just $200 extra per month, that's a 480% annual return on a $500 investment. No index fund in history has returned 480% in a year. And skills compound too. Each new capability builds on the last. I'm not talking about collecting certificates. I'm talking about skills with direct market value. Sales, coding, financial literacy, marketing, communication, negotiation, specific technical expertise. Things that employers or clients will genuinely pay more for. Practical tip. Identify the one skill that, if you mastered it over the next 12 months, would most significantly increase your income. Then spend at least 1 hour per week, minimum, working on it. 1 hour a week is 52 hours a year. That's more than most people ever invest in their own growth. Personally, if you want a simple framework to start applying these 6 rules right now, I've put together a 1-page breakdown in the description below. It covers exactly where to start based on where you are financially, whether you're starting from zero or already have some savings and want to optimize. The wealthy don't have a different work ethic than you. Most of them don't have a secret advantage. What they have is a different set of rules. Rules they learned early, applied consistently, and stuck with when it wasn't exciting. The goal isn't to get rich overnight. It's just to make slightly better decisions about money every month for a long time. That's it.